and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Charles Kolb, and I'm the president of the Committee for Economic Development. And on behalf of CED's nearly 200 trustees and our staff, welcome to our 2010 annual awards dinner. Thank you very much for joining us this evening to help celebrate CED's 68th anniversary. Please begin your first course. The main course will be served shortly after our first two award presentations. Much has happened since our last annual gathering here at the Waldorf in October of 2009. There was no Tea Party movement, so to speak, last year. Healthcare reform was still being debated. The Supreme Court had not yet issued its Citizens United ruling on campaign finance reform. The signs of economic recovery were weak, and financial services reform was still a work in progress. While the economy is somewhat better now, the country's overall long-term fiscal health is fundamentally uncertain, in large part because our elected leaders have yet to address the unsustainable annual budget deficits and our massive national debt. Because healthcare costs are the fundamental driver of the country's fiscal problems, CED's signature project for much of the past year has been reforming our healthcare system. We continued our partnership with U.S. Senators Ron Wyden and Bob Bennett in an effort to promote passage of their Healthy Americans Act. And by the way, that didn't pass. Nonetheless, we continued to find ways to influence the manner in which the health exchanges are being implemented. And the Peter G. Peterson Foundation's major grant to CED underwrote much of that effort. So Pete, we deeply appreciate your support for CED, and we pledge to do our utmost to make sure that the new health care reform bill, as it is implemented, does not actually worsen the nation's fiscal health. As CED continues to be a force for health care reform, we will also focus on the nation's economy and its fiscal health. Our subcommittee on fiscal health is led by CED trustees Bo Cutter and Joe Kaspudis, and to date we have issued a statement of principles for which we are now gathering business leader support all across the country. We have also presented in some detail, graphic detail I would add, a set of scenarios about what will happen if the deficits are not reduced, and we'll be talking in more detail about that with tomorrow's program. With its Citizen United decision, the Supreme Court opened the way for millions of dollars to flood our midterm federal elections and state judicial elections. In doing so, the court inadvertently breathed new life into campaign finance reform. At a time when most of the country still has a relatively negative view of business, CED's goal has been to persuade companies to avoid getting involved in this morass. To that end, we reconvened our Money in Politics subcommittee under the really exceptional leadership of Ed Kangas and Landon Rowland. Our goal is to urge companies to avoid getting into this mess, to reform state and federal campaign finance laws, and at a minimum, to seek full disclosure of every dollar that enters into our electoral system. On education, we are now hard at work on every part of the learning continuum, from early education advocacy in states such as Mississippi and here in New York, to K-12 reforms that focused on how best to attract and retain talented teachers. In post-secondary education, we recently received a $1.5 million grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, our third grant from the Gates Foundation, to support CED's new project on post-secondary completion as it relates to the nation's 21st century workforce needs. I'm pleased to announce that the initial phase of that project will be led jointly by Bruce McClowery, the former president of the Brookings Institution, and Jeff Juress, the CEO of Manpower. You have before you CED's 2009 annual report, and you will see that we were extremely busy, with over 50 events in some 15 cities across the country and in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Cape Town, South Africa. I thought last year was exceptionally busy, but by the end of this year, we will have held over 70 events, and at each event, CED trustees have participated as hosts or guest speakers. Most of these activities are underwritten by foundation support, and I want to thank especially the Bernard Van Leer Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Birth to Five Policy Alliance, the Blue Shield of California Foundation, Carnegie Corporation of New York, the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, the Open Society Institute, and especially the Peter G. Peterson Foundation. CED also benefits from our trustees who help to raise the funds that we need to continue and also to expand our work. And so I'd like to thank especially Roy Bostock, Bill Donaldson, Bill Izell, Pat Gross, Rod Hills, Joe Casputis, Lenny Mendonça, Don Peterson, Pete Peterson, Fred Telling, and Ron Zarella for their work on behalf of CED. I'd also like to thank two other individuals for their outstanding efforts on behalf of our organization, Rajat Gupta of McKinsey & Company, and Jim Turley, the CEO of Ernst & Young, who is here tonight. They have helped to make this event a huge success, and they are a great tribute to our honorees, so thank you. Tonight is a very special and exciting evening. We are proud to be presenting awards to several distinguished individuals and companies. Each awardee has made enormous contributions to the strength of CED's programs and to sound corporate leadership. All of us at CED are deeply honored to have such outstanding leaders with us this evening. I also want to recognize and welcome the delegations from CED's counterpart organizations who are with us tonight and tomorrow. There are 11 of these organizations around the world that comprise a network of private business organizations similar to CED. Today and tomorrow mark the 25th annual gathering of this network. Our goal as a network is to bring an objective business voice to the critical public policy issues in each of our countries. 5 of these organizations are here, and we are pleased to welcome delegations from the China Institute for Reform and Development in Hainan, France's Institut de l'Entreprise, our longstanding counterpart member from Japan, Keizai Doyokai, the Forum de Administradores de Empresas from Portugal, and Consejo Empresario de America Latina from Latin America. We are also very pleased and honored to have observer delegations here from Croatia, India, and Turkey. A special thanks to Marian Gubic, the Consul General of Croatia here in New York, to Verma Gorov of the U.S.-India Business Council, and Abdullah Akyüz, the President of TÜSİAD, the Turkish Industrialists and Businessmen's Association with offices in Istanbul and Washington. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to all of our trustees and a special salute this evening to one of our newest trustees, Edouard Tétrault, the former Director of Research for AXA in New York and now the head of MediaFin in Paris, and author, I must add, of a new bestseller in France. So, Edward, we're very pleased to have you back for your second CED dinner, so welcome. I also want to salute my friend of almost 20 years, Ira Lippman, who is here tonight. Ira is the founder and the chairman of Guardsmark and also the recipient of CED's 2002 Corporate Citizenship Award. So Ira, Guardsmark, thank you for being here. CED's fundamental work deals with public policy recommendations, and policy recommendations are, by their very nature, intangible. A close friend once said to me that the goal of good policy making is to find ways to tangibilize the intangible. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but it's always been a good North Star to follow. So how do we take intangible ideas and turn them into tangible reality? One simple word: trustees. CED is a trustee-led organization. Everything we do can be traced back to CED trustee engagement. Our voice and our impact result from engaging trustees to work with Justice Sandra Day O'Connor in Iowa, Washington, and around the country on judicial election reform, to meet with senior White House officials to promote health care exchanges, to join in a 5-day, 10-city tour in Mississippi to recruit 1,200 business champions for early education, to impact the budget debates in several states when it comes to investing in young children, to influence the national budget debate through the Domenici-Rivlin Commission, on which Joe Minerick, CED's Vice President and Director of Research, proudly served. I could go on, but I sense that you're getting hungry. Let me just add that these efforts have been supported by nearly $4 million in foundation support, a record year for this organization, and I think a solid testament to the value of our work and our impact. We could not have achieved this presence and our impact without support from dozens of individuals, companies, and foundations, many of whom are here tonight, and we want to say a sincere thank you to each of you.